Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. May we please be settled? We'll soon start. Thank you.
Trying to get everyone's attention. Honorable Ministers, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the senior government officials, and all distinguished guests in the room, good morning. My name is Tabsile Mlangeni, the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Development, Economic Planning and Development. I'd like to welcome all of you to this very important event where we launch the Eswatini Economic Update under the theme Harnessing the Potential of Digital Technologies for Eswatini's Growth and Job Creation. Thank you very much for taking time to attend this very important occasion. And I believe we are all going to benefit from what we're going to hear from the update on our economic situation. A very interesting theme as we all move towards digitalization to enhance economic growth. We are very grateful that our honorable ministers are here, and all relevant stakeholders. And without taking much time, we will go straight into our program for today. May I at this point invite our first speaker, which is the Honorable Minister for Finance, Honorable Neil Reichenberg, to give us his remarks. Honorable Minister.
Director of Ceremonies, Tabsile Mlangeni, PS, Honourable Ministers of the Crown, all here this morning, the World Bank Country Director and staff, UN Res Rep, the UK High Commissioner, UNDP, Henrik, senior government officials, panelists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all and welcome here. It's my great pleasure to be here today to launch the second Eswatini Economic Update with a special focus on digital development. I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to the World Bank for supporting this valuable report, which comes at an opportune time for our country. One might ask, why digital? Why the focus on digital? It's because digital technologies cut across all sectors. They enhance productivity, they create jobs, they reduce costs, they boost revenue, and they connect the disconnected. They improve transparency, and most importantly, they bring government closer to its citizens. Around the world, we've seen how digitization is driving transformation. And I'll just give you a few examples. Rwanda's digital ID system has enabled faster and more inclusive access to services. Kenya's mobile money revolution through M-Pesa has lifted millions out of poverty. Ghana and even Eswatini's e-tax platforms have significantly improved tax compliance and has broadened the tax base. What these countries have in common is not just digital infrastructure, it's a commitment to use digital tools to solve problems. And that is the mindset that we need to adopt here in Eswatini. Let me give a few examples of where digital transformation can boost productivity and hence economic growth here at home. The first one being in agriculture. Eswatini's farmers lack access to timely weather forecasts, market prices, or financial services. With digital platforms, we can connect farmers to buyers, provide mobile extension services, and offer tailored crop insurance. The second one is education. Through digital learning platforms, we can bridge rural and urban disparities, strengthen teacher training, and provide students with new pathways for growth. The third one being healthcare. E-health systems can improve patient records, supply chain management, and enable remote consultations, especially in rural areas. The fourth one being public service delivery. As we are seeing in the launch of Government in Your Hand mobile platform, digital tools make services faster, cheaper, and more transparent. The fifth one being revenue. Digitizing tax collection systems could boost revenue through reducing tax evasion and enforcing compliance. Achieving 100% use of electronic tax filing could also increase reported taxable income. The sixth one being entrepreneurship and job creation. Our youth are eager to innovate. With the right digital infrastructure, skills, and access to capital, they can lead the next wave of startups from fintech to agri-tech and beyond. But for all of this to happen, we must address the foundational gaps. The report rightly identifies key constraints, which are uneven broadband coverage, digital skills shortage, and limited innovation financing. From the Ministry of Finance, we see it as our responsibility to enable this transformation by supporting sound public investment in digital infrastructure where needed, mobilizing development finance, and encouraging the private sector to participate in what we're all doing. We're also committed to improving digital public finance management, including through implementation of the Integrated Financial Management Information System, what we refer to as IFMIS, as well as e-procurement and digital payments to enhance efficiency and trust in how resources are used. Finally, I wish to emphasize this. Digital transformation is not a Ministry of ICT agenda. It's a whole of government priority and a whole of society challenge. That is why we are proud to support initiatives like Government in Your Hand strategy and why we welcome today's dialogue to forge a shared vision together. Let us use this momentum to work together across ministries, sectors, and partners to build a Digitally Eswatini that delivers to all. I thank you.
He's much taller than me. I thank you, Honorable Minister for Finance, for your remarks. May I at this point invite the resident representative of the World Bank, Mr. Okori, to give us his remarks.
Sani Bonani, the Governor of the World Bank, Minister of Economic Planning and Development, Honorable Tambugina, Minister of Finance, Honorable Neil Reichenberg, Minister of ICT, Honorable Savannah Mazia, Honorable Members of Parliament who are here present, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Principal Secretaries here present, development partners, heads of parastatals and agencies, captains of industry and members of the organized private sector, representatives from civil society, organizations, the media, all protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here actually on behalf of the country director, Satu Hakonen, who unfortunately is unable to attend this. So as I stand here, I'm representing the country director who is based in Pretoria. And I'd like to start by extending our appreciation to all the government colleagues and partners who have helped us in the collaboration in terms of insights that we've gotten to make this report possible. The openness that you have shown and the willingness to engage with us and share your perspectives is a testament, frankly, of the valued partnership the World Bank has with Eswatini. This is the second edition of the economic update. The inaugural report was launched in August 2023, coinciding with my arrival in Eswatini. So actually I've been here 2 years, and it seems like it's been a lifetime, more or less. They always remind me of that in the office with the additional strands of gray hair that I've basically developed since then. But it's been meaningful actually to witness and contribute to this important economic dialogue, because for us as an institution, most people think it's all about money, but actually I think that the thought leadership that the World Bank provides is much more important than the resources. And I think that this presents an opportunity providing the platform for society to engage on issues that are particularly paramount for development. This update comes at a very critical moment. As many of you know, Eswatini is navigating a very complex economic landscape, one that is shaped by global uncertainty that continues to evolve, climate shocks, domestic structural challenges. Yet despite all these headwinds, the country has demonstrated resilience and the potential for transformation. So let me start by just sharing a few highlights. I know my colleagues will go into the details of it. In 2024, the economy grew by an estimated 3.2%, slightly down for 3.4% in 2023. This growth largely driven by manufacturing, agriculture, and mining. It was also underpinned by a surge in SACCO revenues, which improved the fiscal balance and financed both public and private consumption. Looking ahead, though, the medium-term growth outlook remains positive, but not without its risks. In our view, as an institution, growth is expected to rise gradually, but remain vulnerable to external shocks. The current account and fiscal deficits are expected to widen in the coming years, reflecting higher investment, public investment, and lower SACCO revenues. Those of you who have been reading the papers, Minister Reichenberg has basically kind of flown the kite, to say Eswatini should start imagining potentially, right, a country without SACCO. So, and the whole idea is to basically say, how do we start to think about the need for policymakers to begin planning for a possible transition, whenever that comes, if it comes. Part of this transition planning, though, will require unlocking higher and more inclusive growth through implementing structural reforms and targeted investments. And one of those promising pathways for doing so is through digital transformation. That is the reason why the special theme for the second edition, titled Digital Transformation as a Catalyst for Growth, is so apt. Digital technology holds an immense potential for Eswatini. We know that bridging the digital divide is not just about connectivity, it's also about opportunity. Digital technologies can unlock and create new markets. Through digitalization, government services can reach the most underserved areas and citizens, not just only ensuring inclusiveness, but also facilitating improvements in service delivery and bridging the trust deficit between the government and the people. As a country with more than 70% of its population less than 35 years, it can be a source of sustainable jobs, creativity, and innovation for younger Eswatini. Who do you want to be when you grow up? That was a question that Minister Savannah posed to a group of stakeholders a few months ago. This is an important question that Eswatini must keep in mind as he aspires to attain high income status. He can and should learn lessons from beaten paths, important lessons drawn from the success stories of several small geographically isolated economies like Estonia, Mauritius, Singapore, where the creation of a digital economy have been pivotal to economic growth and transformation, as well as job creation. Eswatini has made encouraging progress in recent years. Today, over 90% of the population is covered by mobile broadband. However, despite this high coverage, less than 60% of the population uses the internet. In addition, affordability remains a barrier to equitable access. For example, the cost of 2 gigabytes of mobile data in Eswatini is about 3.47% of GNI per capita per month, compared to 0.62% in Mauritius, 0.18% in Estonia, and 0.16% in Singapore. So, who do we want to be when we grow up? And which lessons are we learning? Right? Besides affordability, though, limited digital skills, lack of relevant content and services remain persistent barriers. In addition, the current digital divide between urban and rural, men and women, rich and poor, risks widening existing inequalities. That is why there is a critical role for the EPTC on this agenda. As a key holder of the national backbone infrastructure, EPTC's operational effectiveness and efficiency is vital to reducing the cost of broadband and expanding rural coverage. This will not only benefit Eswatini, but also create a more competitive environment for digital service providers. The economic update outlines concrete policy actions to support this agenda. For instance, strengthening digital governance through clearer institutional roles and the National Change Management Program, accelerating EPT's reforms to enhance operational efficiency and introducing open access, investing in digital public infrastructure, including a modern digital ID system, not only developing but implementing a national digital skills action plan aligned with labor market needs. And of course, fostering a competitive and innovative ecosystem through regulatory reforms, access to finance, and support for startups. To address some of these challenges, the government is preparing a digital Eswatini project in partnership with the World Bank. Thanks to the unwavering leadership of the ICT Minister, this ambitious initiative aims to strengthen digital infrastructure, improve access and affordability, support the Government in Your Hands program, and develop and deepen the digital skills needed to ensure that no one is left behind. If implemented well, and there's no reason why not, digitalization can become a powerful enabler not only for growth, but of inclusion, accountability, and resilience. I know shortly the Minister of ICT will present the Government in Your Hands program, but I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the government for its leadership in launching the Government in Your Hands strategy. This forward-looking initiative reflects a strong commitment to citizen-centric service delivery and the power of digital transformation to improve governance, transparency, and inclusion. As a trusted partner of the government, the World Bank believes that prioritizing digital access to government services, the strategy sends a clear signal that Eswatini is ready to embrace the future and that no citizens should be left behind in the digital age. Let me close by saying that the World Bank remains fully committed to supporting Eswatini on this journey, and I hope that this update will serve as a useful tool to inform dialogue and decision-making on the transformational impact of digitalization on a country's quest to becoming a high-income country. I look forward to an engaging discussion on how we can best utilize the insights from this update in shaping policy and driving sustainable development. Siyabonga kakhulu.
Siyabonga, Mr. Okori, for your remarks. It's just to share with all of you what his name means. Ikechi means the power of God. So his Swati name is Mandlenkosi. Thank you so much for those remarks. At this point, we are going to have a presentation from the Ministry of ICT on the government strategy for digital transformation. May I invite the Honorable Minister for ICT. Honorable Minister.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I thought it was Minister Gina. So I'm just sitting over there minding my own. Honorable Minister of Finance and Honorable Minister of Economic Planning and Development, the resident rep of the World Bank, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to observe all protocol and greet you all again. I would like to present Eswatini's digital transformation, but firstly I'd like to share, why does digital transformation really matter? It matters because it increases efficiencies. So processes can be streamlined, processes can be automated, and so we can be more effective, and things can be easier to track and account for. And we can enable and increase our productivity as well as our efficiency. It also matters because it enables government and even the private sector to improve our citizens' experience and to offer convenience, dignity, as well as assist in ensuring the increase of trust and reliability of the service supplier. New businesses can be created, therefore leading to a stronger economy. Capacity to enter new markets can be engaged in, markets that are border agnostic and are able to ensure that we're actually able to access the world. We can create more jobs that are high quality in nature and better paying. Savings can be introduced through effective resource allocation. We can promote meritocracy. We can promote data-driven decisions which are more fact-focused and thereby minimizing risks. It allows innovation and accountability and opens up opportunities for us to be able to qualify for international trade, international jobs, and we can be able to have businesses by our youth and ensure that our women and the youth have a fair chance in operating in the economy. It goes without saying that it also stimulates the economy and improves governance and allows us to really be able to work and be open to the rest of the world. So I'd like to just share with you what we're doing and what we've done to transform the area of the digital environment. There are 4 areas we really look at as a ministry. We look at effective policy. We look at infrastructure. We look at services, and we look at capacity building, which leads to attracting investors. As you may all know, we've been able to introduce the cybersecurity bill that really guides how we secure our information. We also have the RST bill of 2023, which, as Minister of Finance was saying, is really supposed to ensure that all government technology and digitization is engaged through RSTP. This really allows us as a government to buy better, to deliver it more effectively. We've also drafted the e-commerce strategy for the kingdom, and we've finally finalized the critical infrastructure bill of 2025, which we look forward to taking to Parliament in the next couple of weeks. This is a very important bill for us as a ministry, but also for us as a country. We are also working with different partners where we want to be able to figure out how can we really lead in the area of policy and law, AI law, robotics, space. How are we really able to ensure that we really bring the best and learn from countries that have gone through the process and be able to customize these bills and these laws for ourselves? We're working with various countries to be able to learn from their experiences. We've also understood that research and innovation is really important, and therefore we've just set up a National Research Council with UNESCO, and we've had the office is set up, and this has been a dream of His Majesty for the past 30 years, and we're happy to be able to deliver on that. Let's talk about infrastructure. All these things we want to do really require a very strong backbone. So that's why I'm happy to be here, Ike, and Minister Planning, and Minister Finance. Look at that. All the people that I need are here in one room. And I also have witnesses. So Here's what I'm going to tell you, and this is what I need to have very clear. We're a ministry with a very small budget, and we've done some seriously interesting things with a small budget. I'm looking at the man who might be responsible, or the men that may be responsible next year for increasing my budget, and you're all here to hear this. We are currently installing fiber optic in the country, but considering our budget, it really is difficult for us to be able to do it. So to work with the World Bank and get money from the World Bank, I'm going to keep saying this, I can tell you feel real guilty. We want to be able to install fiber optic throughout the entire country and not take forever to do so. Because the fiber optic is really a base and a foundation for us in everything we want to do, right? So what are we talking about? We'd like to be able to ensure that not only the urban areas, but also the rural areas are able to have access to fiber optic. This is digital equality. It really has to be that it doesn't mean because you're in the rural area, you cannot have connectivity, reliability, and ensure that you've got cost-effective data access. So it's a critical infrastructure for us. It also allows us to be able to really lead in this area. It's interesting when you go around the world and you talk to a variety of people that it still is an issue. We may think it's only in Eswatini. So we really want to be able to create our own futures and be able to use this infrastructure as a basis for us. We've also installed microwaves throughout the whole country. This has enabled us to really give you strong and reliable connectivity. It may not feel like it right now, but as we put all this infrastructure together, we're really able to ensure that we are continuously adding on to this issue of the backbone. We've been upgrading, and we've upgraded our overall international connectivity capacity from 47 gigabytes per second to 72. I just want everyone to know that we had a target when I came in. We said we'd do 60 gigabytes per second by 2028. It's 2025, and we've actually been able to do 72. We've exceeded our budget and the timing. We've also built a smart city in our capital, and we want to be able to do this throughout the country, and not just have smart cities, but have a smart country. We've given Babane, this municipality, the capacity to run and operate this, but it has 5G, 59 cameras that are AI-enabled, and also free Wi-Fi. So we want to be able to ensure that this is done throughout the country. We've installed computer labs in schools. We've been able to install free Wi-Fi in 48 Tungundas. We've worked with our partners to install free Wi-Fi in 60 schools, and we hope to be able to ensure that we cover 800 schools and clinics throughout the country. We've built digital resource centers like in Eswatini. We introduced the youth digital skills training centers in underserved areas like La Vomisa, and innovation hubs in places like Pikes Peak. We've also introduced Government in Your Hand, and we continuously want to be able to add to this. Currently, Government in Your Hand has 11 services, and I'd really urge you all to please download it. What are those services? You can apply for a scholarship, you can track your payments when you're returning the scholarship, and Honorable Minister of Finance, just so you know, we are saying they can track their scholarship money, so you can be able to thank us for that later. If you want to open a business, you can search for a name of the company you want to use. You can register the company. You can secure a trading license. You can renew your driver's license. That's just to name a few. We also want to add another 90 services in the next 36 months. These are government and sometimes non-government related services. We've also handed over an inpatient digital system to the Ministry of Health in record time. We've also been able to develop and complete critical government systems such as the Deeds Registration Information System, the Road Permit System, and the Police Academy System. Some of the systems that we're working on are creating a social register for the Office of the DPM to ensure that that office is able to capture all those who are disenfranchised and be able to manage that process. We're also able to ensure that anything you want to pay in government will be paid for in a system that we're going to be introducing, so you don't have to go to the revenue services offices. We're also looking to be able to have apps like child protection apps, livestock tracking, school registration systems, school management systems for teachers, digital addressing, and also supporting e-commerce systems in the country. In capacity building, we've really understood that everything is wonderful in the infrastructure environment, but we need to be able to continue to build capacity. What does that mean? And what have we done? We've trained 50 teachers in ICT-related courses with a focus on teachers from rural areas. We've trained parliamentarians in digital issues such as AI, cybersecurity. We have trained 108 girls in space technology and space commerce. We've trained citizens through our libraries in digital skills. We've secured funds to operationalize the Kingdom of Eswatini Academy of Sciences. We're beginning this August a coding training system for up to 300,000 Emaswati. It's going to open up this August. We continue to drive our pursuit for a digitally empowered nation. We're ensuring that everybody has access to training. 300,000 people is a quarter of the country. Surely we can be able to take that up. And it's up to the citizens to be able to really want to do this and really want to be able to participate. We think that with this kind of training, we can go a long way. We're also looking to have our partners like Google to set up free academies so that our children are able to have global skilling and global certification. We must always ensure that our youth are part of the solution. We must always ensure that we do not exclude them from the process. I worry when we are creating a future and they're not part of that architecture. Digital transformation does not matter until it matters. If we do not transform digitally, we run the real risk of losing competitiveness, being obsolete and irrelevant to the world. We would decrease our efficiency, risk having a lost generation, and we would really have constant attacks in the area of cybersecurity. We would lose our talent, we would miss investment opportunities, and most importantly, we would become what they call digital slaves, where you're depending on whatever you're given and have no input in it. We really want to be able to ensure that we give this country reliable, constant, effective data and digital solutions at low costs and ensure that we are all participating in the economy and opening up the economy. We don't want our economy to stop growing. We really are convinced, and we know that when we have transformation digitally, economies grow. We really understand that that gives dignity to the citizens of the country. We know that this ensures that the peace we have in the country is sustained and grows. We've been recognized in areas like Geneva as one of the leading countries in the world for giving access to rural areas for connectivity. I think that's really critical. I think that's really important, and I think we should be able to acknowledge that. As the Ministry of ICT, we really believe we can transform the country with the help of all of government. We really believe that we need the assistance of the World Bank. We need the assistance of all of government to really partner with us in ensuring that we use agencies like the RSTP, the Post Office, to really deliver transformation in the area of digitization. One of the things that one always hears is His Majesty's wish to be a first world. I can guarantee you we will not get there if we don't digitize. We need to be able to understand that when something comes into the market, like a revolution such as this, we need to be part of the curating for ourselves and not allow others to curate for us. We need to be able to not be afraid of it, but go ahead of it. We need to be able to understand that we can lead in this area and be able to give our citizens dignity and be able to ensure the economy grows and be able to ensure that we have jobs that are higher paying and be able to really open up the world for our people and ensure that we're even able to have programs like remote work, where people are able to work in Eswatini for different companies all over the world so that we can be able to retain the brains of our youth and the people that are smart in this country. It would be a great shame, a really great shame, if we did not digitize and enable our youth to be a part of it. It'd be a great shame also, Director of the program, if we don't talk about the issue of security. You know, one of the things that we are constantly fighting in the area of ICT is security of information. We need to be able to work together to consistently work in the area of security. Sometimes we think it's a destination. It's actually a journey. People who are in the hacking field are always looking to see how they can damage people's information. We need to be ahead of it. I would like to say we can be able, Minister of Finance and Minister Planning and World Bank rep and everybody in the room, to reach the area of double-digit growth if we can digitize. But we must get in front of it. We must support this ministry. We must give this ministry more money, and we must be able to get the right loans. But most importantly, we really need government to work together in an aligned manner, in a manner that is promoting each other, and we really must ensure that we are better than yesterday, always reaching for tomorrow. We should always ask, what digital inheritance are we leaving for our children? Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Minister ICT. Thank you very much, Minister ICT, for that very interesting and exciting presentation. We know how passionate the Minister is about ICT, transformation through digitalization. That's the reality that will take us to the first world. I always remember when she said, always benchmark with those that you aspire to be like. Don't go to those that are at the same level as where you are. Then what are you going to learn? You need something that will really stretch you to put more effort to get to where you want to be. In our case, it is the first world, and we can't get there without digitalization. Thank you, Honorable Minister. We have colleagues that are joining us virtually. And at this point, we are going to have a presentation by Marco Kwaramba, a senior economist from the World Bank. He has been resident in the country as an economist for some time, but has since moved to the Solomon Islands, where he is still working for the World Bank. So I hope Marco is ready to take the floor. Mangwanani Marco, you have the floor. Please go ahead with the presentation. He's from Zimbabwe, so I'm trying to make him feel at home. Over to you, Marco. Please unmute.
Now, hello? Do you hear me? Hello?
Hi, Marco, we can hear
Marco?
you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
So
you.
I was saying it is a great pleasure to for me again to present to you, but now in Solomon Islands. Of course, it's a small country like Eswatini, but having traveled here so far, I need 3 days to come back to Eswatini. I remember, I treasure Eswatini. I see Eswatini as a promising jewel in Africa. Of course, my resident representative have already said that it is a pleasure for the partnership that we have together. For me, especially since I started working in Eswatini, I know we have discussed sometimes difficult issues, but as World Bank, you know, we are always optimistic. We believe in the future. We believe in the development in the future. So the memories that I have in Eswatini will not be erased easily. Actually, I was joking yesterday that I want to retire in Eswatini. Let me say, in the room, since I moved to this country, there is my successor, Dumisani. So he's present in that room. So if you have any question that you might have from this presentation that I'm going to have, please feel free to ask him. He has said that he has started hitting the ground running, so he is prepared to answer any question. Of course, I'm here in the Pacific. Yesterday there was a tsunami warning. So if I disappear, you will also take over and start presenting from there. So the presentation is structured in two ways. We have the first section with economic development and outlook. I'm the one who presented. Then my digital colleague will present why digital transformation matters. So on the recent economic developments, it's just three issues. I've been given 10 minutes to present this. So I'll try to rush as much as possible, but only raising few issues per slide. So recent economic developments, then you look at outlook and risk, then policy options. So the key messages from the chapter or from this economic update is that the economic story of Eswatini has been mixed, and the message that we have is that to sustain growth, there is need to digitalize. There is also need to strengthen public finance and address structural economic transformation. You will see when we are presenting that for the recent past, Eswatini's growth has surpassed the long-term average, historical long-term average. So to sustain that, there is need to continue implementing reforms. So digitalization is a clear path. I don't want to repeat this. It has been said by the Minister of Finance, by my resident representative, and by the Minister of ICT when she concluded by saying that to achieve double-digit growth, we need to digitalize. So digitalization is critical for the whole economy, productivity, creating jobs, and even reducing the reliance on SACCO revenue. But on the macro part, we say there are 5 key messages. One is the fiscal that has improved. We know fiscal has improved, one, because of fiscal restraint and also because of SACCO revenue. But the message is that the outlook needs careful consideration. The debt levels are piling up or are on the rise, which also require careful attention. The current account surplus is high SACCO revenue, and more important is that the current account surplus is turning into a deficit for the first time or for a long time in Eswatini, and this has implication for external stability. The fourth message is that the interest rate differential between Eswatini and South Africa is high. And why we are saying that this requires careful monitoring is because of the inflation trends that are happening in South Africa, that they are witnessing the lowest inflation trends in 5 years. So it means the real returns are high now in South Africa than what is happening in Eswatini. So they can be transferred or they can be capital outflow from Eswatini. The economic outlook is promising. So the first, if you look at that graph, you see it is trying to depict the trend of economic growth. The message there is that if you look at the recent, let's say 3 years, if you want, you see that the growth has been very high. But if you look at the trend, you see that the drivers of growth has not been consistent. Sometimes it's industry, sometimes it's services. So the message that we are saying is that for growth to be consistent, you need to digitalize. You need to strengthen public finance, and you need to address structural economic transformation, structural economic constraints. And by this, growth will be sustained in the future. But more central is that if you look at 2025, Eswatini is outperforming most countries in the region. It's high, 5%. If you look at the SACCO average, it's about 4% for 2025. But for, there is a story there. It's an investment story. So if it's an investment story which is building up this 5%, it means that if there is any slack in implementing the projects that has been put to drive this growth, it means that the growth will be knocked off if we revise the growth rate. My successor will be looking at these projects and to see if they have already if they are being implemented and sustaining the growth that we are talking about. Of course, consumption, as usual, is driving growth. One thing that is central is that the growth that we are talking about is being driven by investment. In other words, it's concentrated on few sectors. So you look at if you check, Ike has already talked about what has driven growth, manufacturing, services. It's all concentrated in mining, for example. It's construction, for example, and you will see that this is capital intensive, and they might not have a bigger dent in poverty reduction or in unemployment. So poverty has been trending down, but it has stagnated at a high level. Of course, now the World Bank is now new measures for poverty, which is now instead of $2.15 per day, it's now $3 per day. And poverty, the new poverty numbers that are coming there are a little bit higher, but it doesn't mean that poverty has worsened. It's just the improvement in data. So unemployment. You can see the divergence between Eswatini and lower middle-income countries. Eswatini at 35.4% and middle-income very low. And you see even there is just widening gap on unemployment. And we are saying for unemployment to increase, there is also need to digitalize. What has been said by the ministers, by the resident representative on why digitalization is depicted in this graph. So digitalization is important for manufacturing sector, is important for agriculture, is important for trade, transport, construction, public sector. All these, if the country digitalized, it means growth. It means there will be high growth, and all the sectors will be activated. And already there has been reference to smaller countries like Eswatini that have benefited from digitalization. For example, Mauritius, which digital or ICT is contributing 6% to GDP. But more important, the Minister of Finance has already pointed out that if they digitalize, it means that revenue will increase. So the 100% use of electronic tax filing has been found that it can increase revenue by 4%. If you look at e-procurement that has been mentioned by the minister, if Eswatini implement e-procurement, it will lead to higher fiscal savings. In other countries, it's led to 2% fiscal savings, prevention of corruption. So all this, we are saying digitalization is central to the economy. To inflation. We have seen that prices have stabilized in recent past. So it has declined from 5% to 4% in 2024, as you can see from that. But what has been happening in the economy is that there have been prices on over. If you take the average, it has been peaking in 2025. Of course, if you look at from January up to June, you see that prices inflation has been trending down in Eswatini. It's now at 2.8%. But if you compare, as I said, if you compare to South Africa, if you compare to the SACCO average, you see that Eswatini risks to have higher inflation than SACCO averages, and more important, higher inflation than South Africa. And we know the dynamics of inflation what is driving down inflation currently is, of course, the cooling of food prices and fuel prices in the global markets. So lower inflation has allowed the central bank to reduce interest rate, but as I said, the differential with South Africa remains high. So what is critical is that a so-called phenomenon. You see that the interest rate, the real interest rate for South Africa is higher than the real interest rate for Eswatini, and it's because of inflation dynamics that are happening between two countries. And if it is like that, no one will keep money or rational agents will not keep money in Eswatini. It will just transfer to South Africa. So we are saying it is critical that the central bank monitors this differential such that it will not lead to high capital flight. But even if you look at the dynamics, the right graphs, you see that there is this time where Eswatini interest rate or policy rate was higher than South Africa. It's only recently that we are seeing the sustained higher interest rate in South Africa than in Eswatini. What is happening in the external sector is a structural shift, as I said. If you look at the past, or in 2024, you see that current account surplus has been declining despite higher SACCU revenues. It means that there is a structural shift in the economy, and this structural shift might actually destabilize external stability. If you look, if we have projected or put other years from 2025, you will see that the current account is turning into a deficit, and there are three reasons for that. The first, of course, is the decline in SACCU revenue. The second is the good part, that there is investment happening in the country, especially capital investment. But the third is that there is a change in service trend. So authorities are now able to capture more what's happening. The current account surplus into a deficit. So this, you see that blue line, that blue shaded line, SACCU, service trade, or there is an increase in service trade deficit, and this has an implication going forward on international reserves. And the international reserves have been declining. If you take, let's say, if you compare 2024 and 2023, it declined to 2.4 compared to 2.6 months of imports. And we are saying if the current account turns into deficit in the future, it's a threat to these international reserves, and it's a threat to external to external stability. But more important, remember, we are talking about digital. We are here because we want to talk about digitalization. We are saying if the country digitalizes, it means that the exports will be boosted. There will be more exports that can happen and avert this declining international reserves. The fiscal situation, I have 3 points on the fiscal situation. 3 good points and three cautious points. The first point is that the fiscal situation has improved, and it has improved to 2 reasons or 3 reasons. One of it is SACCU revenue that has been boosted, that has been high, and it has led to a decline in SACCU in fiscal deficit. The other is fiscal restraint. We know what the government has been putting policies to restrain fiscal expenditure, and this has been positive on the economy. However, the other positive thing is that I really liked when the Minister of Finance was always on is it Facebook or on his account talking about public debt, that the country is contracting this debt, it's contracted and is wishing to. This is positive in terms of increasing transparency. But now we are saying, if you look in the future, if you look currently or this year, the fiscal deficit of increase in expenditure, especially the rigid lines, which has remained high, the wages. But more important is that the public debt is piling up. The public debt has started, is increasing. Of course, it's increasing from current 40%, maybe to around 44% in 2026, then started declining. But we are saying it needs a check that it remains sustainable. And the third is that expenditure arrears has been high, especially if you look at 2027, 2025, or 2024, it has been around 2.7% of GDP. So these three things, three issues, it means it needs authorities to focus more diligently on the fiscal situation. If you look now on the outlook, we are saying the outlook is promising, but is subject to multiple risks. One, the growth that we have focused is based on key assumptions. One of the assumptions is the implementation of public and private projects. We know the projects, and as I said, if there is a slip on these projects, it means that at the end or during this year, the growth might be revised and down. Then a moderate impact of trade uncertainties or the global uncertainties for Eswatini. Of course, it has been clear that these trade uncertainties have not impacted much on Eswatini than other countries. Then reform implementations and arrears clearance. This we are talking about public arrears or public expenditure arrears, and we highlighted as one of the risks. But of course, the good part is that the Minister of Finance has come up to say he has cleared most of the arrears. I'm not there, so I don't know whether they have been cleared, but that's what has been cleared. Then, if you look at the risks, one of the risks is these global uncertainties. The other risk is slowing of growth in major trading partners. That is in South Africa, which is around now projected at 0.7, 0.8 or less. Rising inflationary pressures, if anything happens to the global prices. Then climatic shocks. Then slow implementation of the investment projects and the lower SACCO revenue. All these might disturb the positive outlook. And now, just concluding on policy options, there are three policy options, and all three policy options, they are more focused on how digitalization can help to sustain high growth and job creation. And the good part about these policies is that they have all been implemented, or they've all been started being implemented. If you look at the prudent fiscal and monetary policy, you see that the three interventions, they've started being implemented, and most of these also have been included in the budget support that we support. Then the other is private sector development, that is improving enabling environment. The last is improving the efficiency of public spending or more affordable services. So I will not say go in detail about each policy, but as I said, the first is effective macroeconomic management, that is prudent fiscal and monetary policy, that is ensure fiscal consolidation. This we refer to SACU revenue, SACU revenue stabilization fund. That is the proper implementation of it, or the continued implementation of it is critical. Then also fully implementing or digitalizing the tax system. So we have the short term and the medium term. We also have the fiscal rules that we talk about. Then eliminate public expenditure areas. This we know the effect of them, especially on the private sector, the banking sector, or the economy in general. So the clearing of these areas is critical, and it can also be contained if we digitalize through this, the IFMIS, as the minister said. Contain public debt. We've seen that public debt has started increasing, but it needs to be monitored. One of way to monitor the public debt is to plan to have the medium-term medium-term management debt management strategy, but also to have a concrete annual borrowing plan. This already has been started implemented, and it's present. The SOEs, we've talked about them to contain the debt, and also the transparency that we talked about. The second bucket is private sector development. This is improving the business climate. It operationalized in the online business registry. It's already being implemented as the anti-corruption, strengthening the anti-corruption. Then support export-oriented growth. This is through the authorized economic operations. So this is the second pillar, and most of these policies, they are already in motion, and we hope they will be fully implemented. And the full implementation will be seen on the results of increase in private investment. The last bucket is on affordable services or improving public spending. So the first is improving public financial management. It's already in motion, especially the implementation of IFMIS. It's already in motion in terms of national procurement policy that has been discussed. But the e-procurement, that comes the digitalization. The e-procurement still needs to be implemented. One of the things that I was thinking I would manage to convince or to have this implemented, and I felt, I hope, and we have discussed with the authority, is publishing fiscal outstanding data. That is the budget execution, the monthly budget execution data on a monthly basis. This I hope my successor will be able to persuade the authorities to have them published. This is very important, especially when it comes to transparency. Then the last point is improving public investment management. Already this has been implemented, especially on the public investment management guidelines that has been published by the Ministry of Economy, led by the Ministry of Economic Planning. But the guidelines, they need to be implemented. So we will see, or the implementation will be seen by improvement in public investment, by completion of public projects on time, and also by the selection of public projects that brings higher benefits. So the rollout of this public investment management is critical. With this, let me stop here. I hope I have not talked too much, and pass over to my colleague, Paul, who will talk about digital development.
Thank you, Marco, for that very informative presentation. You haven't talked too much. You gave us the information that we needed to know, which has highlighted where we are doing well, where we need to improve. So we all know what we need to do now. Government, the private sector, our development partners, and everyone who's in the room. I thank you very much. We are now going to have a presentation on harnessing the potential of digital technologies for Eswatini's growth and job creation by Paul Sidon. Paul, your turn.
Thank you. Honourable Ministers, Your Excellencies and members of the Diplomatic Corps, senior government officials, distinguished guests, all protocols observed. Good morning, everyone. Could we please move to the next slide? So the next part of this presentation will really start to look at some of the key findings in the report that pertain to digital transformation in Eswatini. So we'll be looking at some of the findings around what are the structural barriers that are currently there that are potentially holding back the country from digital transformation, and looking at some of those key policy and reform areas that we would suggest and recommend that could be the focus in the coming months and years to really start to accelerate this critical agenda in the country. So really, one thing we can do is really look at case studies in other countries to really look at some of the learnings and learn from their journey towards digital transformation. And as Marco has mentioned, looking at Estonia, Mauritius and Singapore as small states who have really accelerated digitization in the past few years and decades, we can really look at some of the learnings that could be applied within the Eswatini context and help accelerate the agenda in the country. Estonia is well known as one of the most digitized government systems in the world. It is often presenting at global fora on its digital transformation journey, and really has been able to accelerate both digitization of its services for citizens, but is also one of the leading cybersecurity and secure systems that we see globally. Mauritius is also very interesting because whilst it is not a landlocked economy in the same way that Eswatini is, it is also geographically separate from its neighbours and a small island state. However, it's been able to foster a very vibrant ICT sector, which now contributes to 6% of its overall GDP. And of course, Singapore is probably one of the most proportionately developed digital economies on the planet, with digital transformation alone and the sector alone contributing to almost 18% of its GDP and really driving the core jobs agenda alongside its kind of key industries around financial services. And so I think before we look at some of the inhibitors to digital transformation in the country, I think it does need to be recognised that there has been a huge amount of progress made in digital transformation within Eswatini. And I think we do see that there, for example, is very, very good coverage of the population with 4G levels of mobile broadband, and we'll kind of dig into the detail of that a little bit more in the coming slides, but also a strong ambition from government and really kind of led by the Honourable Minister of ICT around the government in your hand digitalisation strategy. The key tenet, obviously, of being able to launch a strong digitisation whole of government approach needs to be coalesced around a strong ambition and strategy, and that is already in place. And the country has made significant progress even in the last few years on establishing some of the key mechanisms needed to be able to deliver digital transformation and the regulatory aspects that come with that. So in addition to SCCOM, who are a very effective telecommunications regulator in the country, we have seen real progress being made on establishing aspects like the Data Protection Act and work to really lift the cybersecurity capability of the country with the new CERT being established under SCCOM itself. And so we'll now talk through a little bit about some of the structural barriers that we do see in the country before getting into talking about some of the policy aspects that we would recommend for focus on in the coming years. So on the connectivity side of things, as I mentioned, when we look at the rest of the region, the coverage of the population in the country is actually very high when we look at 4G mobile broadband. Now, I would say that this is an impressive figure, but it is population coverage. It is not geographic coverage, and there's quite a lot of work that needs to be done ensuring that coverage extends to the rest of the kind of geographic areas of the country. But Eswatini does have a high level of population coverage from 4G mobile broadband compared with other countries in the region. Part of the issue, though, when we actually look at the underlying indicators, is we see that there is a big usage gap. So that is the proportion of the population which is actually accessing the internet and using digital services is far lower than the actual coverage of the population with high performance broadband services such as 4G, which give the ability to use modern digital services in the country. And as you can see, it's the usage is down at 57% of the population, which is actually lower than what we see in other countries in the region which have comparable levels of coverage. Botswana actually being almost identical in terms of having around a 95-96% coverage of the population with 4G, has a much higher usage than we do see in Eswatini. Now, part of that is the affordability piece. And when we look at the price of services and the price of data in the country, we do see that it is still very high compared to other countries in the region. Now, the way that we measure it is the percentage of GNI per capita. Without digging into too much detail on this particular data point, what we see is, and what the African Union target is the affordability comes in at below 2% GNI per capita. Eswatini is up at almost 3.5%, which is very high when we compare the local region, but also more broadly across sub-Saharan Africa. And so really the affordability is the key barrier for citizens accessing digital services. And in addition to that, a lack of local content and local services which are starting to come online. And as the Honourable Minister mentions already, there are 9 services being delivered through the Government in Your Hands strategy. As more and more services and more local context comes online, we would expect to see the usage gap starting to narrow. And lastly, the fibre piece. As the Honourable Minister mentioned, there is a big emphasis on being able to connect across the country, and part of that is actually being able to deploy fibre networks and the backbone particularly across the country where it is currently missing. We've seen a lot of progress in the last few years on that, but we do still see that only 3% of residences and businesses in the country are currently utilising fixed fibre broadband in the country. So quite a bit more work needs to be done to actually raise that adoption in that aspect. On DPI, so DPI is digital public infrastructure, and it is essentially the foundational pillars that we would expect to see within the government system that allows governments to then build and rapidly deploy digitised services to citizens. Once they're built, those foundations exist and allow governments to essentially continue to digitise services and bring them online. and they are ubiquitous across that service stack. Now, this includes things like being able to build a digital ID ecosystem, which currently does not exist to a full functionality in Eswatini. This allows citizens to access public services online in a secure manner, but being able to authenticate themselves as citizens accessing those services. Mobile money is, as Marco and some of the other speakers have mentioned, mobile money is widespread, but it's still very cash heavy, and there are a certain number of systems and factors in play which are missing, which includes aspects like the government payment gateway, and we know that there has been work recently by the central bank on the local payment switch, which is also great to see. But at the moment, there is still a low level of use of online digital financial services. And lastly, and this is very common, not just in Eswatini, but across the world, the siloing of data in government and the siloing of systems, not being able to talk to each other, inhibits the ability for government to take a whole of government approach and build quality services that can link to the different data sources, whether it be in health, whether it be in education or home affairs, being able to build a framework and a platform which links those data sources together enables the government to then build those services to be able to access data. Estonia is very, very famous for pioneering the way in this particular field with its what was called the X-Road system, which was the first public system to exchange data between the disparate ministries and departments within its system, and was part of the reason why Estonia was able to accelerate digital transformation over a decade ago, and why it's viewed as number one in the world. On digital services, and as the Honourable Minister has raised, the government in your hand strategy is really that strong ambition to now push forward and digitise services so that citizens across the country can access public services without having to come to a point of presence in towns or cities. And that is really the critical first milestone towards digitisation. And so now looking forward, it is really about now starting to overcome some of the siloing and the whole of government approach that is needed to be able to deliver on that strategy. As the Honourable Minister said, it is not just the Ministry of ICT which is delivering the digitisation programme, it has to be an all of government approach. And so now coalescing around the government in your hand digital strategy to be able to overcome some of those siloings is really needed. And those are the kind of key structural barriers within government which is inhibiting the development of those digital services. In saying that though, the UN e-Government Development Index in 2022 had Eswatini down at 141st out of 193. So there has been already, with the progress even made in the last 2 years, we've seen a jump of almost 40 places in that development index. And with the Digital Eswatini project and with the strong agenda and commitment from government in the coming years, we expect to see a huge jump in there and see Eswatini starting to get towards the top 10. So, absolutely. And then on the digital skills piece, and I think this we really kind of view this in two different perspectives. There is digital skills when we talk about advanced digital skills, what the country needs to be able to fuel the digital transformation agenda in the country. And those are looking at those core areas such as software engineering, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, data science, those kind of core fields where building a local pool of talent will then obviously build the momentum for the country to be able to utilise its citizens, generate jobs and contribute towards the digitisation of both the public sector and the private sector. But alongside that as well is digital literacy, so being able to build a basic level of digital literacy within the population to enable them to effectively access those services as they come online and effectively get both the economic and social development benefits of digital services is also key. And so there has been a lot of progress being made, again, in these different areas, and it's really about now starting to focus those initiatives to try and build that core skills pool within the population, so that as digitization increases and there is more and more demand for digital jobs within the economy, that the local population is able to provide the talent that is actually required without necessarily having to look internationally for that as well. And there have been a number of partnerships already launched, working with large multinationals like Google and Amazon and other countries as well, as the work with the World Bank on being able to try and advance this particular agenda. And lastly, we also look at the structural barriers which are inhibiting entrepreneurship and the development of digital businesses in the country as well. And again, we would say here there has been a number of initiatives that have been launched to build incubators to be able to support digital businesses in the country. This is definitely an agenda which has had focus in recent years, and there's been a lot of progress made. And I think from our perspective at the moment, it's still a very early stage ecosystem that requires focus in specific areas, which we'll discuss from a policy perspective, to be able to really start to build the momentum more readily and bring Eswatini more in line with what we see elsewhere in the region, because it is slightly behind when we look at some of the other countries, both locally and across the broader sub-Saharan region. So there's definitely work that can be done to really fuel this entrepreneurship and startup ecosystem more. So I think really the key messages from when we talk about structural barriers and what's inhibiting the digital transformation in the country, I think there's the key message here that there is good coverage, is good access, noting that there's still a lot of work to be done on the geographic aspects. But we do have good foundational platforms in place when it comes to connectivity, and I think kind of having that foundation of connectivity there is a really critical step towards being able to build the transformation agenda. However, the affordability piece is really key, and being able to bring down the prices in the market to the consumer has to be a real key focus if the population is going to increase usage as digital services come online, and that usage gap closes between access and affordability. Key to this, and as our resident representative mentioned, the EPTC piece is absolutely critical. EPTC is the exclusive provider of wholesale capacity into the market, and so being able to address inefficiencies in that segment of the market, being able to lower costs, create a more sustainable provider of services into that market segment, will have a downstream effect on being able to bring down prices in the retail market. And looking more long term at the opening up and liberalisation of the market and bringing it more towards a market based on open access principles is something that we really do see will have a transformative effect on being able to close that usage gap by bringing those service costs down. And then being able to now move forward from the government in your hand strategy towards overcoming some of the institutional fragmentation to coalesce around the strategy is obviously key. And then focusing again on being able to drive local skills and local entrepreneurship to really contribute towards the economic development and jobs agenda, which is so critical at the moment for countries all around the region. And so moving on to recommendations for policy options. We have 5 different areas in the report that we call out as areas that could benefit from focus in order to be able to overcome some of these structural barriers. One, and again, this is something which all countries face, all countries that we work with face, is overcoming the institutional aspects of being able to take a whole of government approach towards the delivery of the digital transformation strategy. And so that is really about coalescing around the mandates given to the likes of the Ministry of ICT, to RSTP as the central agency for the delivery of ICT services in government, to then really start to centralise into those mandates and focus on really clarifying the responsibility of those agencies so that a whole of government approach is actually taken, and to kind of eliminate some of the siloing that we see across different ministries, taking different approaches and different agendas towards digital transformation separate from the others. The other key point here, I think, and it's something which the Honourable Minister really kind of enforces, I think, in our discussions, is the need for effective change management. And again, that's about being able to reduce inefficiencies across government, being able to effect solid change management practices within government is absolutely critical towards being able to build a whole of government approach towards digital services. And so having a broader intra-ministry and departmental strategy for being able to effect change management across government will ensure that as these digital services come online, that the right ministries are involved in being able to undertake the activities they need is absolutely critical. On connectivity as the next policy area, again, being able to pursue universal service in the country, being able to kind of invest in the missing links that we currently see in the backbone network, as well as focus on extending the coverage of 4G mobile across the geographic expanse of Eswatini is going to be absolutely critical to being able to connect citizens to these digital services as they come online, and as both the public sector and the private sector digitise further. EPTC, again, very, very critical to this. Being able to improve the efficiency of the only middle mile operator in the country in a market the size of Eswatini is absolutely core to the ability for lowering costs for consumers. And being able to support the expansion of the middle mile, the national backbone network, in order to be able to do that at the same time is obviously critical. And then looking more long term, focusing on a more liberalised market as aspects stabilise around the wholesale market, looking at fostering more competition and liberalisation in the telecom sector where that exclusivity at the moment does exist. We see plenty of competition happening in aspects like the retail internet provider market, perhaps less so in the mobile space, which is a consequence a little bit of the size of Eswatini's market, but certainly in the middle mile and the wholesale market, really focusing on long-term liberalisation to ensure competition and low costs in all these different market segments will be key. And because the size of the market in Eswatini is relatively small, continuing to have a strong and effective regulator in the likes of SCCOM to be able to enforce that when needed is obviously critical. And I would mention that we do see SCCOM as a very effective regulator, and it has taken quite considerable steps in recent years to address some of the issues around pricing in the wholesale market. And so having that work together as an overall system is absolutely key to being able to drive down the prices in the market. And I think lastly, on this point, and as the Honourable Minister mentioned, being able to prioritise high quality connectivity for public institutions such as schools, health facilities, Tinkundla centres across the country, so that students, patients and communities can access digital platforms and build the digital literacy within the population is also absolutely critical. On the DPI side of things, we would definitely recommend, and this is already in the government in your hand digital strategy, but now being able to build those foundational pillars that will help the government to then continuously and rapidly deploy digital services on an ongoing basis, year by year, is a critical first step. And that starts with the development of a full digital ID system. In order to be able to do that, the digitisation of the National Population Register and the completion of that work is key, because that is a critical register that is obviously utilised by a digital ID system. Creating that national interoperability framework, so being able to develop the platform that will connect the different sources of data and information within government so that the exchange of data can happen and support those services, is also really needed, backed up by what is called a public key infrastructure, which supplies the security layer on top of that data exchange. And lastly, to continue to focus on the mitigation of security risks as the digitisation programme progresses and more sensitive information comes online and is accessible through digital platforms. It's imperative that that risk is mitigated through investment into cybersecurity practices, building those mechanisms, supporting the CERT and the Cybersecurity Agency, as well as building the data protection ecosystem further, is absolutely critical to avoid or to minimise the risk of cybersecurity attacks as this information becomes more and more digitised. On the skills piece, as we've mentioned, there has been a lot of progress and a lot of focus on building skills in the various different areas in the country, and I think probably what we would see is now coalescing that around a holistic national digital skills action plan could help to bring these various different initiatives together, both from government but also from development partners as well, to try and coalesce around a more holistic approach to delivering digital skills, and firstly really to delivering digital skills in areas that are earmarked as critical to the digital transformation agenda. So looking at what are the areas of digital skills that are required around things like software engineering, AI, cybersecurity strategy, data science, all these core areas which will be needed as the digitisation agenda really progresses in the country. We would also look at embedding, so we would also look at reaching out more as well to underserved communities, rural and remote communities as well, to try and build digital literacy in areas which may be supported less currently. And we do have some very good examples of models that have been put in place that can help to deliver digital literacy in grassroots areas that historically have not been well supported. Rwanda's digital ambassador model is a good example of that, where ambassadors from different communities are earmarked, brought back in, trained up, and are then returned back to their communities, where they undertake a formalised programme of literacy training and dissemination of that knowledge into their communities. Has worked very, very well in raising digital literacy rates in communities that have historically been quite underserved, because they don't necessarily have access to formalised education systems or courses around digital literacy and skills in its own right. And then lastly, being able to actually physically connect education institutions so that students have access to digital platforms and teachers have the ability to teach from digital services and digital platforms is also critical. And so that's where fibre connectivity to educational institutions such as schools and universities, vocational colleges is really key, and why we see an emphasis on the connections for schools coming out of the Government in Your Hand digital strategy as well. It's critical so that students from an early age can interact and access digital platforms and build that digital literacy from an early age. And lastly, the fifth policy area is again on the entrepreneurship ecosystem. And so I think really here we've seen lots of good progress around the creation of incubators and accelerators. They, to date, haven't gained the momentum that, that they potentially could build. And so what we would see as being an important first step is really further support to formalising those incubators and accelerators for, specifically for technology startups and businesses who are using digital platforms in other sectors to be able to increase the capacity and support for those businesses to really develop. And that includes building on top of the existing mentorship and technical assistance programs that are already there, but scaling them up and having them more formalised to help create more momentum within this ecosystem and provide more support to digital businesses is critical. We also see some of the issues is around access to private financing in Eswatini here, comparing to other countries in the region. And so there are models out there looking at blended finance where public investment comes in to reduce the risk to private capital in investment to aspects such as tech startups. And that could work quite well in Eswatini to help to try and mobilise more private financing by de-risking some of that, that capital for private financiers. Again, looking at Rwanda, there's quite a good model there with the Innovation Fund that has been set up by the government, where the Innovation Fund will catalyse private financing by de-risking and coming in as a partner, either through providing guarantees or providing co-investment to help to mobilise and catalyse private capital into what is obviously seen as a more high-risk investment area. And so looking at some of these external models could help to formalise and catalyse the ecosystem in Eswatini itself and help to bring in more private sector investment into this critical sector and help to build jobs as the digital transformation expands. And so I think in summary, we and again, as Marco mentioned, we won't go into the detail of all these recommendations in the report. We do drive down into a lot of detail on these different policy recommendations in the areas, but we do call out these 5 areas as being some of the key focal areas to be able to overcome these structural barriers that we see in Eswatini. And really those are about strengthening the institutional and governance aspects to be able to then execute very effectively on the government in your hand digital strategy. Being able to overcome some of those connectivity issues by accelerating reforms, particularly in the middle mile and the wholesale market around some of the issues with EPTC, as well as being able to expand into more rural and remote areas through investment into the national backbone network and into last mile connectivity into those particular areas is key. Being able to put in place the foundational building blocks for digital government, which is those digital public infrastructure pieces, as a critical first step as more and more of these services become digitised is absolutely key. And then being able to foster a pool of local talent to be able to then deliver on the digital transformation through focus on specific advanced digital skills areas and building the digital literacy across the whole population so that those citizens can readily access those digital services as they come online is also key. And then lastly, as we discussed, being able to foster that competitive innovation ecosystem to be able to build local talent, local businesses, and crowd in private investment into this is absolutely key. So I think really on that, as a last statement, I think from our perspective, we really do see that there is a huge opportunity here for the country to leapfrog beyond where regional peers potentially are, to build on the foundational platforms that have already been established and to execute on the strategy. And I think sometimes, obviously, being a small country and a small market can work against some of these strategies, but it can also contribute towards transformation because it is much easier to have huge transformational impact in smaller markets than it is in larger countries. And so being able to build on that and really deliver there is an exciting opportunity for Eswatini to really jump forward multiple generations and not only catch up with some of the regional peers, but also accelerate beyond them and become an example for the rest of the region in digital transformation. So we're proud to work with Eswatini on this agenda, and we look forward to continuing to support the country in the coming months and years. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's also much taller than me. Thank you, Paul, for that presentation. And I noted your very last comment that you will continue to support the country in our journey to digital transformation. Paul is the senior digital specialist at the World Bank, so it is the right person making the commitment to give us the support as we continue with our journey. Thank you so much, Paul. Now the moment we have been waiting for. We are going to have the keynote address and official launch of the Eswatini Economic Update by the Honorable Minister for Economic Planning and Development, Dr. T.E. Gina. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Program Director. And Ministers, Excellencies, please allow me to stand on established protocols. But also allow me to thank you as Governor for the full House, Ministers and their Excellencies being here. You will notice that all the people who spoke before did not carry paper. They used gadgets. I was born PC. That is before computers. You will also notice that all these younger people needed glasses to read. Now I need glasses. It is both an honor and a pleasure to join you today for the official launch of the latest edition of the Eswatini Economic Update produced by the World Bank. As Minister responsible for economic planning and development, and as Eswatini's governor in the World Bank Group, I take this opportunity to thank the World Bank team for the excellent collaboration with various government ministries, the private sector, and academia in producing this report. The economic update comes at a particularly important time for our country. Eswatini, like many economies across the region, is navigating a complex landscape, recovering from recent shocks, responding to global uncertainty, and seeking new engines for sustained, inclusive growth. In this context, the theme of this edition, harnessing the potential of digital technologies for growth and job creation, could not be more timely. The report highlights that while our economy is projected to grow by around 5% in 2025, a welcome recovery indeed, we cannot take this trajectory for granted. Accelerating digital transformation is not only a development opportunity, it is a necessity if we are to build resilience, boost economic growth and revenue, reduce youth unemployment, increase productivity, and strengthen public service delivery. Let me commend the report for offering practical, evidence-based insights. It underscores the strong momentum we already see in Eswatini, from investments in broadband connectivity to the government's e-services platform. Government in your hand. But the report also makes it clear that much remains to be done. The key barriers remain. One, digital access is still out of reach for too many, especially in rural areas. Digital illiteracy and advanced skills must be built to ensure our workforce is ready for the economy of tomorrow. And that, and innovation and entrepreneurship must be supported more deliberately if we want to see local solutions thrive in the digital age. From the perspective of national planning and development, this agenda is critical. The role of my ministry is to ensure alignment of priorities, targeted resource allocation, and long-term vision. To this end, the recommendations from this report will feed into our upcoming reviews of national and sectoral strategies. Digitalization has been identified as a driver of economic growth, whether in education, agriculture, trade, or health. We see digital tools not just as enablers, but as potential accelerators of our development goals. We are particularly encouraged by the report's emphasis on collaboration between public and private sectors, development partners, and regional institutions. The digital economy cannot be built in silos. It requires coordinated investment, interoperable systems, shared infrastructure, and inclusive policies. Let me close by encouraging everyone here today to engage seriously with the findings of this report. Let's not treat it as a once-off publication, but as a resource to guide our decision-making, shape reforms, and prioritize investments. And let us continue to work together across institutions and sectors to translate this digital opportunity into tangible improvements in the lives of Eswatini. With these words, I am pleased to declare the Eswatini Economic Report, Harnessing the Potential of Digital Technologies for Growth and Job Creation, officially launched. Ngiyabonga.
Before the minister takes his seat, may I request other ministers to join him and the World Bank representative to join him for a photo shoot. Other dignitaries will join as guided by. So they're going on stage. Okay. So some sabendo who goes, who's not going. Next. this point, we're going to take a very short break because we are racing against time here. We're going to take a very short break, short enough just for us to get a sip of water, coffee, maximum 10 minutes, 10 minutes maximum, and then we will come back for the next session, which will be the panel discussion. Thank you.
La Ladies and gentlemen,
izihlahla zikhulumisa umoya uthambile
Ladies and gentlemen, may we please come back and take our seats? May we please come back and take our seats? Thank you. May we please come back and take our seats?
Can we all take our seats so that we get started in the interest of time? Even those that still have coffee in their hands, they can drink it sitting down so that we all get started. Welcome back to the second session where we'll mainly have the panel discussion. May I at this point hand over to the moderator for the panel discussion, Ms. Warabile Minki Moilwa. She will lead the panel discussion. Thank you.
Good morning and all protocol observed. So the Eswatini Economic Update has been officially launched. Great stuff. So now we have to discuss the way forward. We have to discuss implementation. We need to unpack the report. We need to discuss the action that we're going to take and the challenges and how to address those challenges. Like most speakers said earlier, there is a growing momentum around digital transformation in Eswatini. However, there are still some challenges. And these challenges and gaps mean that more work is needed to truly unlock the power of digital technology for inclusive development and economic growth in Eswatini. My name is Warabile Minki Muilwa, as the PS mentioned, and I'll be moderating today's discussion on how to best harness the potential of digital technologies for Eswatini's growth and job creation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to present our panelists who bring valuable perspectives to today's topic. Our panelists are Mr. Sukumbuzo Dlamini, the Director of Research from the Central Bank of Eswatini. Dr. Henry Count Evans, Journalism, Media Studies, Climate Change, and Digital Transformation Lecturer from UNESCO, the University of Eswatini. Dr. Rejoice Maseko, Director of Research, Science, Technology, and Innovation from the Ministry of ICT. Mr. Jose Rego from Innovators Association of Eswatini. We have a great panel, CSO representative, government, academia, and Central Bank of Eswatini. Panelists, thank you very much for agreeing to share your perspectives on the topic at hand. So I will start with Mr. Sukumbuzo Dlamini. From your perspective as Director of Research, how do you see digital transformation contributing to inclusive economic growth in Eswatini? And what are the key policies or investment priorities to ensure digital technologies deliver jobs and productivity gains, especially for youth, young people like me, and SMEs?
Thank you very much. All protocols are observed. I have a very simple task, Honorable Ministers, to summarize what is in the report. Because for me, it's simply rehearsing what the Minister for Finance and yourselves have said. I think one of the key things is what is digital transformation? It is just integrating technologies into the way we do business, the way we do life. And then inclusive is everyone in society is not left behind. What an easy way to have more inclusive growth than integrating technology, because technology can allow me, whilst I'm sitting here or sitting there, to send money to my mom in the rural area, Engutsen. That is payment made. She would have hired someone to plow the fields during that time. The other one is, while sitting here, I'm able to monitor moisture content if I'm a sugarcane farmer in Vuvulane or somewhere in the Lowveld. That's a project that was funded by the European Union to try and assist farmers to save water and also try and ensure that they improve productivity. So digital transformation can do a lot of things: improve incomes, productivity, ensure that we get more efficient delivery of public services, which is very important. Think about a case where you are sitting here, you have applied for your passport, you are asked to pay. You will save time waiting in line at the revenue services when you pay using your mobile money platform. What then becomes important are the rails that the government needs to provide to ensure that business and people alike can utilize the services that could be offered through digital platforms. I'm yet to see a very robust e-commerce platform from Eswatini. I think that's one of the areas that maybe the incubators such as our RSTP could work and try and ensure that we build a more robust one. I know there is one that I've seen that is out there, but I think it needs to reach far wider than where it is reaching now.
Thank you very much. I will now ask Dr. Evans, especially on digital skills. From where you sit from the university, how prepared are our young people to take advantage of digital opportunities, right? And what are the gaps? And what role does higher education institutions like UNESCO play in equipping students and the broader public with the skills needed in a digital economy? Because skills are needed.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation. That's quite a... I'll attempt to answer it in 3 ways. So the simpler answer is no, we are not prepared. I think when our students leave the university at the moment, they are not capable of meeting industry requirements. And that's because of issues that you find in university curricula, for example. So the way we review curriculum is very complicated, it's very bureaucratic. It takes time for a syllabus to be changed. I think with UNESCO it's 4 years, and 4 years is a lot of time in terms of trying to catch up with industry. So the fair answer is our graduates have the minimum skills that are required, but I don't think they meet the competencies that are required. So we also have, I think, very noticeable mismatches between what we produce now and what the industry needs. I'll give an example, I think, in data science. I have the privilege of having worked with many projects. So when you try and get talent locally, you don't get it. I think we have been helped by the innovators here. Last year we had a very robust program, and we said we don't have talent. Then Rego said, no, it's not true. We have people that can come and try to do it. We had a successful hackathon now. They've built, I think, one of the best AI systems for newsrooms. So we need to be there. I mean, the young people are there. Of course, I'm very careful with the word young. Sometimes it's very derogatory. As a former young person, I don't like it particularly. So we have those mismatches, and these are ways in terms of women. I think we have a recent project where we pitched a team of 7. There was 1 female. And we asked a basic question, are you saying there are no women in Eswatini who can code? We tried, I think we got 4 or 5 CVs, but we could only get 1. So we need to strengthen STEM among our girls. I think that investment is overdue. So universities are currently constrained in terms of delivering that. But it's because of the bureaucracies in institutions. But is there hope? Yes, it is. I think we have a lot of industry certifications. We have Coursera, I think, that is closing the gap. What is the role then of our universities in equipping students? We live in a knowledge economy, and universities are the center of knowledge production. So you can't escape the responsibility as an institution. Maybe the question is, what kind of knowledge are we producing? Is it the knowledge that society needs? Is it outdated? That's where we are. But I will just say 3 things. Universities produce a graduate who should have 3 attributes. They should be knowledgeable, so that's at the level of knowledge. Do we have graduates that have the requisite knowledge in terms of digital economies? So we don't. Secondly, we need to have graduates that are capable of executing tasks. We don't have most of those. The third one is becoming, and I'll spend more time talking about the last one, because this is where, again, I'll use the word young people very uncomfortably. So becoming means that you want to produce a graduate who is, number 1, a team player, who is able to communicate, who is able to work with minimum supervision. These things that we write in our CVs but never do in actual. These are things that we need more. If you look at the digital labor market where we need to get our students to be working remotely, you need to have digital first skills in terms of your Slack, your Trello, your Google Workspace and all that. We need students that are going to be able to work in a culture that is different. At the moment, I think we are getting there. We are not yet there. But we need students that are going to be reliable. At the moment, I don't know if you have worked with young people. I don't know your level of satisfaction with reliability. If you give them a task, do they deliver? That's a big concern from industry. And the work ethic has gone down. Like, they will prefer to do other things over working. Like, they will tell you that I can't be there at 3 because we have a game with my friends. I mean, we have seen this happening, and it's something that's growing, and industry is concerned. Our graduates are becoming unemployable, not because just of the skills, but also because of the becoming nature, the professional person that we have to build. And I think we need to mold our students into that direction because we have to get them to be ready. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Evans. I have a follow-up question. So you were talking mostly about young people. What about the broader public? A grandmother at the village, for example.
That's a complicated
Another
one.
difficult one, I guess.
But I'll attempt to answer it in terms of what we do as a university. I'll try to be local. So we do have a Department of Adult Education that is struggling, of course, with enrollment, but that provides the access to learning. I think over the past 6 months, we've also rolled AI courses for the broader market. We've done one for teachers. We've done one for lawyers. Now we're rolling out one for all professionals. So we are trying. We are not there. We are not the best at the moment, but I think we've identified the gaps. We've also introduced hackathons that allow anyone who is outside with interest to come in. We had one successful one last year at 12 Villas, where we had 8 South African institutions coming in and with a lot of young people participating. And we do have these here and there when resources permit, and we can see the impact, but I think we don't have a unified strategy. I think the report talked about the need for a clear strategy that we can also fit into as an institution to say, this is the map that we have and what is our role in this. But we try, we are not there, we will get there. Of course, the issue is when. I hope it's soon.
Indeed, we will get there. Dr. Rejoice Maseko, let's hear from government and more about the government in your hands strategy. The Minister of ICT has been driving forward the government in your hands strategy. So how can digital government services reach more Eswatini effectively, and how to make sure Eswatini see the value of digital services?
Thank you so much once again for the invitation. And let me say all protocol observed. And again, I just want to appreciate the previous presenters. Thank you to the honorable ministers. Paul, you have made our work easy, because it's like we are writing a test now. We are summarizing your presentation. Thank you so much. Once again, we just want to appreciate our honorable minister for the government in your hand strategy. Allow me, especially after listening to the presentation, especially after listening to Paul, allow me to say, before the government in your hand strategy, actually our digital landscape, it was just, I'm not sure if I'm proud of it, but I can safely say it was at the foundational stages. I can safely say there were notable challenges which now are disappearing. And I can see the approach is the Ngwe approach. We are not looking back. What you are presenting, Paul, it's just going to be in the history book very soon. It will be once upon a time, there was this problem and that problem. So we are cognizant of the fact that in terms of the broadband, mobile broadband coverage, it's extremely high, above 90%. But when you think of the usage, it's very low. And come to think of it, if the usage is very low, then the question is, are we going to win? And as a ministry, we are saying winning is not an option. And it is in our government, in your hand strategy, to improve access. We are reaching out to the Tinkundla centers. We are already budgeting, we've budgeted for the digital kiosk. You are going to find those in the malls. That is improving access. You are going to find them in the post offices. That is improving access. You are going to find them, of course, in our 59 Tinkundla centers. That is improving access. And not only that, we want to ensure that awareness is being raised. Already, we are raising awareness in our print media. We are already raising awareness in our EBIS, our TV. We are raising awareness. So we are saying, Eswatini, do access the digital services because they are meant for you. We want to make sure that you do have your government in your hand. You shouldn't come to the cities. There is no need because we are strategical. We just want to make sure that besides having government in your hand, we also want to transform the economy. We want to make sure that all the citizens participate in terms of improving the economy. And our minister has already highlighted the fact that we are serious about making sure that we improve literacy in terms of the digital skills. Think about the 300,000, that is a quarter of our population. We want to make sure that they are knowledgeable so that as they access the digital services, they are coming from a well-informed angle, because at times accessibility is limited by lack of knowledge. So we want to get rid of that. Actually, where there is lack of knowledge, people perish. So that's, we want to make sure also we strengthen the digital governance and coordination. Paul, you made mention of the fact that there is no clarity between what's RSTP, what is it that RSTP is doing, what is it that the ministry is doing, what is it that the other ministries are doing exactly. I recall very clearly when we were developing the RSTP Act, it was difficult to get information from the other ministries, because it was like, what do you want now? You are going to buy this and that for us. It was difficult, but we thank our stakeholders, we thank government, because finally we do have the RSTP Act of 2023, and to bring clarity in terms of who's doing what, who's responsible for what. We are developing regulations, and as it is, the act is clear. The Ministry of ICT is at the center stage of it all, according to the RSTP Act.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a lot to cover, but due to time.
We need to work together, because time management is one of my key performance indicators. So
I
we need to keep
understand.
to time. Thank you very much, but I'm not saying don't express yourself. Mr. Rego, as someone working directly with digital entrepreneurs and innovators in Eswatini, what are the biggest roadblocks startups and innovators face in Eswatini? And what can be done to create an enabling environment for local digital entrepreneurs to thrive?
Thank you, Minky. I'll first appreciate by introducing myself once again. My name is Jose Rego. Lasekhaya ngiphiwa inkosi. Lekubutheka ngiphambatisa enkhanyetini. So, I am perhaps the one person, and I appreciate my colleagues here, but I'm perhaps the one person who, when we leave this discussion, will go back to the reality that this economic update speaks about, which is everyone in the 73% demographic that's 35 and below. That's not to say I want to be referred as a young person. I think Dr. Evans and I were speaking yesterday that the term young person is being used almost in a derogatory way in some cases, when competency is a question of are you in or are you not? And it's a challenge for us, and I'll get to the question, Minky, on digital skills, but I think I'll remove the statistics and I'll remove all the technicalities, because we've heard a lot of that in today's conversations. But the challenge is that each time anyone below 35 goes into a room and offers value, the first statement is, oh, the young person is here. And that creates a cognitive dissonance in the room and in the person who's saying that, because you're already assigning a position of some inferiority to the work being delivered. And that's not going to change, because 73% of the population, and you can do the numbers, that's 800,000, will go through this. Before we get to the unemployment is another statistic to talk about, and I won't do it today, but it's a difficult conversation to have when we offer value, and the narrative is young person is here, young person is doing this. So if we can remove that first and foremost, then we can see a bit of a difference in the uptake on quality. There's a lot of quality that is being produced out there. There's a lot of value. There's a lot of skills that are available. Dr. Evans is citing a story we had together last year. He was of the impression there weren't any skills. And I keep saying there are skills, they are untapped. The university has skills, Limco Queen has skills. We work with all these institutions and we find the best value. Last year we launched a system at all the ports of entry, border gates, where when you enter the country, you scan your passport and it questions if you have any disease or any illness before entry. If you've traveled, you've passed that system. That system was built by a small team at the university of ungraduated students. And so this is before graduation, and my job was to just open the door and say to the partners who are working on this project, here's what can be done. But if you're going to base it on what degrees are they holding, you're already going to close the door. And then what will you do? You'll go look outside. And you buy an exorbitantly expensive system, bring it in, have it installed, it falls apart, but you say, box ticked. We did the compliance and regulatory checkpoint of getting someone who seems more qualified. So the challenge here is that we need to remove this cloud of what age means. We are living in the digital era, but we do not have time to play catch up. We must leapfrog. I'm very thankful that Paul mentioned the word leapfrog, and everything we've been doing is about leapfrogging, because if you think about, and I'm sure most of you know the story, the Titanic, the movie. If you don't, please raise your hand. I'll send you a link. In the Titanic, the whole movie is beautiful. It's romantic, it's historical, it's epic. But the whole movie culminates when the ship starts sinking. And what happens is the people at the bottom felt that the most of the hull of the ship, where they were doing the coal chugging in, the engine that was running the economy, those were those who were affected the most and the quickest, because that's where the water was gushing into. And when the message was being sent back up to the top, that hurry up, we must find a course of action, the glasses were clinking at the top, piano was playing, and before you knew it, only a few ships, few lifeboats were off, and everybody else, you know the story. So COVID hit a few years ago, and we were very quick to respond to it as a country. We forgot the silos that we have complained about, and I'm not going to dwell on that anymore. We forgot the silos, we all came together and we said, there's a health crisis, let's come together to solve this. So that's what happened. I do believe we can do something about it, but if we treat technology and digital transformation and economic progress as a slow burn, we won't have time to do anything about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I want to now move on into partnerships. Dr. Evans, let's discuss the question of partnerships, especially between public and private sectors. So for instance, how can a university better link with the private sector to make sure graduates are employable? Are there examples of partnerships we should scale up?
Thank you very much for the question. But maybe I want to react to the last comment from Reko that we need to be radical about what we are doing. Digital transformation, you can do it incrementally, but at this moment we don't have the luxury of cooling off. So we need to radically transform certain aspects of the economy. So in terms of partnerships, maybe I want to make a comment that we are talking about digital transformation, which is a process. The same way we talk about democratization is a process, but that's not the goal, isn't it? The goal is digitality, a state that we want to reach. And we have to go through about 5 steps to get to the top. For that to happen, we need to realize that there's a missing element that I think we never find in conversations, the private sector. We have talked about government doing this and that. I think we need our private sector to step up. They are missing. So yes, we can innovate and do all the other things, but where is innovation locally? So if you train a graduate who is technically capable, where are they going to go to? We need the local industry to lead. And when they do that, it means we're going to get more resources, even flowing into universities for research. So SDG 17 speaks to the very idea of partnerships, and we need to make it real. I mean, 2030 is, I think, 5 years away from now. I haven't seen tangible outcomes that we have at the moment. So we can achieve partnerships in 3 ways. The first one is we need industry, the private sector, to fund research. Our level of investment in research and development is below 2%. How do you expect the economy to grow? So we need the private sector to catch up, to come to the table and fund research and development. It could be done at universities or within their companies, but we need investment in that direction. There is evidence, of course, that R&D, that's research and development, leads directly to productivity that increases and also leads to innovation, and that is missing. So if you go to the university now, you don't find lots of postgraduate students in terms of masters, PhDs, postdoc students, but those are the people that are the engine for development, but they can't come without resources from the private sector. We need to be solving problems that they have, and for that to happen, we need them to step up. The second one is where we come in, I think, as institutions. I think I've talked about the curriculum legs and all that, but there is a way to address that. So I think we're at the World Education Congress in July this year, and the central discussion was, how do you ensure that you produce a graduate who is employable? So you want to be able to go to the industry and not talk to them as stakeholders, but talk to them as partners who can come into the classroom to teach. I think I've seen a lot of my students around here. I mean, I'm proud of them. What they can tell you is that I've never tried to teach alone because I'm not in industry every day. I am in industry, I think 20% of my time I do R&D in industry. But I've brought in the experts that deal with the problems every day from here, locally, internationally. They've joined our classes. So we need to be able to open up. We're always scared of outsiders because they'll come and pollute our classes. But I think that should be something that we get rid of. We bring the people that matter, the people that deal with the problems, and allow them to come and teach. We can also send our students for work-related learning. I think I've seen Mr. Msi from Limco Queen. He has pioneered in that particular route. I think they're doing very well with the LEAP project. We all have to learn from that. As a university, I think from last year, we've allowed our students to go for remote internship. The goal behind that was very deliberate, to expose them to the international labor market, to get them the skills that they require, but also to get them to be ready to be employed outside once they graduate. We're simply trying to say we can't resolve unemployment locally. And the industry is small, but there are markets that can absorb our students outside. We need just to get them ready for that. And we are in that direction. And of course, it's slow, it's been slower, but it's going to pick up as more departments see the need and necessity for us to move in that direction. Are there examples? Yes, there are a lot of examples around. We've partnered with industry. We've partnered, I think, here locally. RIES is one of them that has partnered with the university in more meaningful ways. But we need to do more and increase our level of engagement with industry. Well, I think I want to stop there for now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Indeed, collaboration is key. Dr. Maseko and Mr. Dlamini, when we talk about digital transformation, how do we strike the balance between innovation and regulation, and what safeguards are needed? We'll start with you, Dr. Maseko.
Thank you so much. We really need to strike a balance. Of course, as government, we must create an enabling environment. And I must say that for now, especially when it comes to policies related to digital transformation, you have to do them now. But on average, when you are developing a policy in government, it takes 2 years just to come up with one. So imagine how many times would have changed technologically. Innovation itself, by the time you produce that policy, you find that you have to review it. Every time we have to review it. So that's, actually, let me say we really need to strike a balance because upon creating an enabling environment, we need to ensure that innovation is also regulated. It must be ethical. Just because you are an innovator, it doesn't mean that you just do as you please. It must be ethically. And having said that, it's very, very important also to make sure that it addresses the needs of the country. We shouldn't be saying this is what is happening somewhere else, this is what. Did you find the problem statement as far as the country is concerned? Did you find that? If the answer is no, then you may find that you are saying government is having challenges in funding it, yet it's not addressing the problems of the country. But fortunately, we will be relieved very soon because the minister has already highlighted that we are operationalizing the National Research Council. It's going to take care of the funding as far as innovation is concerned. It's going to take care of funding as far as research is concerned. It's clear on how Triple P is going to be undertaken. So that's, we are relieved when it comes to that. Innovation is going to be funded in this country. But remember, innovate, make sure that it's ethically, make sure it addresses the needs of the country, and make sure it's also not only at local level, so that you get money, because when innovation is expensive, make sure that it also addresses issues of other countries internationally and regionally, so that you reap full benefits of what you have innovated. But first, let it address the country's needs so that it's easy to fund it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dlamini?
Hello. I think one of the things that we always like to do in public sector and in my space, honorable ministers, we like talking. I'm not going to look at them. We spend a lot of time discussing policy instead of actually enacting I can see proper sabotage. From those who are playing in the space, those who educate our kids, those who are responsible for public policy and regulation, including me, I don't think we are doing enough to ensure that this country is digitized faster, because we are actually lagging behind a few of our peers. The cost of actually internet in Eswatini is too high. We have introduced a new bank in Eswatini, Letseho. It's going to be a digital bank. The cost of actually digital banking will rest on the rail of the cost of the internet. So we really are praying and hoping that in the 12 months that they have to try and set their infrastructure in order, I know the minister is running like a cheetah, so we will be very happy with the speed the minister in ICT and government to try and ensure that both those who play in the space and those who regulate do the right thing. And then I'll go to the question on innovation and policing. You cannot police something that you don't understand. The major challenge about regulators is we play catch up all the time. So we will make sure that we throw a chain first to stop you from innovating because we don't understand you. And the moment we understand you, your peers, they are 300 meters away. And then we start to play catch up. What I've seen working for us are collaborations with the likes of the university, RSTP, for incubators and your hackathons We have a company which actually went through our regulatory sandbox, is now working in the space in the country. So that shows that if you allow people to go play in an environment that's controlled, you can actually see an improvement in the space.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Dlamini. Rego, since you are from the Innovators Association of Eswatini, what is your reaction to what Dr. Maseko said and Mr. Dlamini?
Mr. Dlamini hit it on the spot that you can't regulate something you don't understand. So we first have to understand what is the actual dynamic of the innovation. And the problems are being solved by locals for locals using local solutions. So that's already a baseline to start from. Look, the leading economies in the world are built on R&D and experimentation. You can't put boundaries on an experiment before you even know what the output will be. So the policing and the policies are great, and I love that we have a very proactive government in policy formation and enactment, and there's discourse like these that allow conversations to be held. However, let's also leave room. Innovation thrives where there's some flexibility to experiment without any barriers. And we have a lot of barriers we still need to work through. So that's the response to that one. But I just want to say something on the partnerships before my time is up. We are very proud of partnerships. As we sit here, we are not a silo entity. We were established in 2014 by UNDP and the government because that was the first philosophy that innovation must be established. And we were given to the University of Eswatini to host us, and they've done a great job for 10 years of hosting the association, where 300 plus people are now interacting with the association. But now in putting the feet on the ground, how are we actually doing something about digital skills? We are working with high school students through our partnership with JA, where this year's theme was interestingly one of the most challenging ones, which is solving for climate transformation and leveraging on AI. And then it had 6 different tracks for different, there's fintech, there's digital innovation and content creation, there's AI, there's renewable energy, there's circular economy. And we were brought in as a solution to help us figure out how we're going to go to all these rural areas, to all these schools where skills are really lacking, and help us figure out how you can close those gaps. We've done it the best we can, and we do see potential in going further in that approach. So far, we've interacted with more than 1,000 students who are all building small companies that will generate profits, or should generate profits, for their competitions in a few weeks from now. And I just want to implore that these partnerships are what help the people on the ground. High school students in Lavundlamande, high school students in Eswatini, who only know of AI through ChatGPT, but in a room of 20, only 1 or 2 will know AI. And that's where the opportunity lies. So these are the partnerships we think we can leverage on, and I do believe through Dr. Masego's biggest responsibility as the head of the National System of Innovation, we do have potential to cross-pollinate between industry, academia, and government, and we just want to see that happen as soon as possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Maseko, you even stated yourself earlier that the report highlights the importance of stronger digital governance and coordination across agencies. So from your experience, what are the key bottlenecks and what can be done to overcome those challenges, those bottlenecks?
Before I go to my other points, let me start with funding. Funding is a big challenge. I wish the Minister of Finance, Honorable Minister, was still here, because when it comes to technology, when it comes to innovation, because digital transformation thrives on research, it thrives on technological advancement, it thrives on innovation. You don't even check how much you are putting in the, we must have that attitude that whether it's $1 billion, NRF in South Africa is actually controlling research funds. It's approximately 10 billion, the budget. And let me now talk as a researcher. They don't even care whether you have made a mistake or not, as long as your proposal has been approved. It has gone through all the processes. Why? I understand why. Because think of Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, it was research gone wrong. But look at where it is now. It's an international organization. So thus, when it comes to research, let's check what was the intention. Was it for good? Even if we don't get there, but let's check what was the intention behind. Was the proposal approved or not? So funding, it's a bottleneck. Yes, we have the National Research Council, but once again, we are inviting the private sector to the party, because come to think of funding institutions like NRF and others in South Korea, America, those, you find that over 60% of the fundings from the private sector. So thus, we are inviting the private sector to come to the party. Government is trying her best to create an enabling environment. Again, they've highlighted many bottlenecks already, Paul in particular. In terms of connectivity and access barriers, it's a challenge, because he made mention of the fact that in terms of connectivity, especially in the rural areas, then how do we go digital if we are still struggling with connectivity? Then once again, the digital public infrastructure and system fragmentation, he highlighted it, I don't know how many times. I don't know, for some reason, as a nation, we prefer working in silos. I always say it does not matter who takes the glory, but at the end of the day, what is the product? Is it benefiting the nation? So let's come together, let's work together. We need to transform. We need to go digital, because it's the way to go. We can't depend on the resource-based economy. This is not the time for it. We are lagging behind. Yes, we have to add value to our resources, but we need to transform digitally. It's not fair to see our old people here. I was even thinking, let me make sure that I use my car, if I had time, to pick them up from the bus rank to the different government offices, because it's horrible. You find them sitting down just to access government services. So we really appreciate, once again, the initiative, Government in Your Hand initiative. We know it's going places. We know it's also going to ensure that the economy grows. We've heard that the digital economy is not here to let's say, get rid of some of the jobs, but we see new jobs, we see new industries.
Thank you very much, Dr. Masako. Indeed, digital is the way to go. While you still have a mic, if you could recommend one policy or initiative to accelerate Eswatini's digital transformation and job creation agenda, what would it be?
Our role is to create the enabling environment. Surely one can start with the policy which addresses the issue of infrastructure. The NICI policy, National Information and Communication Infrastructure Policy. That one is key. And also, the innovation policy yes, it's very, very important, but it depends on whether we do have infrastructure or not. Yes, the AI policy and its regulation is long overdue, but we need to address the issue of the infrastructure. Hence, allow me to say the Nikki policy, it comes out to be my number one.
I love that, the commitment. Mr. Dlamini, one policy or initiative to accelerate Eswatini's digital transformation.
Just implement the digital economy roadmap.
Wow, I like that. Very succinct and straight to the point. Rego?
We need to appreciate intellectual property,
IP.
IP.
Okay.
The biggest economies are built on IP, and that's what we've been doing as well as innovators. We sit here, I produce IP by speaking, I produce IP by writing, I produce IP by going to the studio and making a song, I produce IP by designing a building, I produce IP by writing a book, and yet we have the building blocks for that to be implemented. We just need to take it forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Evans, a policy or initiative.
Thank you. I'd hoped this one was not coming to me. So in the morning I was thinking, what stops us from being another Nairobi within the continent? What is it that they've done good? Where they're excelling? If you want technology capitals, you go to Kenya. We have the people, okay, young people. For now, let's give them the capacity. I think government needs to continue on the right path. I think we're in the right path. We're doing well. But we need to have an environment that is conducive. It's very expensive to innovate. I can tell you that if you want to have any significant AI project at the moment, you don't have capacity locally in terms of infrastructure. So to that point, we need to bring the infrastructure here. Of course, not through only government, but through having policies that allow for investment. You could lower taxes. You could try and attract investment in more meaningful ways. But we need to go beyond words. I think Skumbuza was talking about, we've talked too much. I think we've raised enough awareness. We need to implement what we have first. Let's implement what is there. Let's bring the investors. Let's grow the economy, and we'll see things moving. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Let's implement. We will now open the floor for questions. But before, yes. I was okay, Minister Savannah. There's a roving mic. It also comments or reactions as well.
I don't have questions. I have some comments. And I agree with the panelists. You know, one of the things that bothers me every single day when I walk into the office is it shouldn't be so hard to do this job. In 2025, it shouldn't be so hard, right? So you come across as if you are trying to steal people's children, and yet you're trying to digitize a country and ensure that we are ahead of the game. Because whether we like it or not, it's here. And in fact, we're already behind, okay? So why don't we curate something that works? I worry when we use language, as Jose was saying about the youth. I always think of the example of when there was oppression, whether it was colonialism or apartheid, for black people. And we all were fighting to be equal, to be recognized as human beings. Those of us who were black, or who are black, because I'm still black, it could change.
We're all black.
Felt it. So when people were making statements like, well, these things take time. Let's think about this. We'll have a caucus and a meeting to see if we can be equals with blacks. Those of us who are black could not wait a minute longer. The same thing happens with women. The men now that we have freedom, what do they say to us? No, these things take time. Wait a little, let's think about it. Let's have a meeting about should women really be equal? And those of us who are women, we feel it. pinching us. We are human beings made by God. The only difference is a chromosome. Why would you be mentally unstable and not recognize that? Now there's the youth issue. What do we say, us those who are over 40? These things take time. Don't rush us. We're going to have a caucus and think about how we can involve you in your own future. It's the same story. So I don't understand this fear we have of 73% of the population. What is it that is so concerning to us that we can't involve them? And the conversation is derogatory. How bantwana batini bona sinesiyadi. And that's why we change certificates and keep staying in positions. We can't let go. And this is a problem. Look, asifuni le progress. We talk about it and have coffee because you have the job. You get paid every single month. So you in comfort. And that's where we are as a country. It's okay to sit here and say, well, maybe in 2028 we'll change the syllabus. Because you're getting paid every month. 70% who don't have any door to go through, what are they supposed to do? When you don't have that equality, your peace is compromised. Your growth is compromised. And so we'll sit here, hey, we're working in silos, but you're getting paid. So it's easy to say these things. Him who knows it feels it. So I'm very passionate about this, as you can tell. But also, I want to talk about the issue of capacity. We're going into a future we do not know, right? None of us really know what it'll look like. I was in Dubai. I was in a carless taxi. I went with a driverless taxi. Carless taxi. Driverless taxi. And it occurred to me that I'm in the future. They have driverless drones that you can ride around in. This future is here. But we talk about education that should look like this, education and policies that should look like that. Let's look at the top 5 companies in the world. $1 trillion companies. Nobody that began them has a college degree. Lakaya, you're only important with a PhD. That's nice, but that's not the future. The future is these people, I understand at 5, who come up with an app that tracks cancer cells. That's the future. So if you're only focused on a resume, on a PhD, you've already cut out a resource that will then move from here, go to Kenya, and then what do we say? All Eswatini, they can't claim him. Wait, hey, why couldn't you appreciate him when he was here? That's the problem. And then we have this thing of being so obsessed with the and we then want to also regulate as government. We never regulate with the recipient and the user of the regulation. We are here regulating out of fear, so we tighten up. And what happens? Those who need to be able to use a regulation to grow the economy are not in the room, just like the youth that we're building the future for is not in the room, and what happens? The economy dies. Then you see the numbers that come from the World Bank, it's going down. Because we regulate and stifle out of business, right? And then the other thing becomes my look at government in your hand. We have 11 services right now. We're going to have 90, 100 altogether, right? I can tell you that more than 50% will be done by people who are less than 28. The current 11 have been done by people 28 and younger. Now, if we were to focus, go to no, with the big stomach to tell us about what happened when I went to school, there were no shoes. You know.
I walked.
I'm sorry for you.
It's not my fault.
But no one cares. Where we are now, bahlobo bami, is to be inclusive. Where we are now is to look at everybody as a resource. How can you be one country one clan and not have any sense of urgency for the future. You know, other countries, so they are fighting that fight. This is one clan. So if we love the country, I always say this, if you love the country, it's action. Love is a verb, right? It's a doing thing. So if we talk about Kutsi Futi as government, you know, it takes us 2 years to do policy. Government will be irrelevant in the next couple of years. People won't need government, I'm sad to tell you, because they'll create things that we've not been able to put proper regulation around. So it'll be in the air. And by the time you recognize what it is, office, hey, this thing, first of all, you'll be out of a job because we won't need you. And these kids will have done everything they do. And what happens? They'll be in an environment that is unregulated, no space to be able to do anything important. The most important thing is not to talk, it's to do. The most important thing is not to be excluding, but to be inclusive. The most important thing is to care about this country. And that's an action. And none of us are acting. All of us are talking. As a Maswati, I hate to say, all of us are gossiping. There's no growth there. It's little minds. All of us are focused on how do I make sure Mr. Payne does not succeed. So Minister ICT, we don't put her in the papers because she's too whatever. Siyalayana. And yet, this country deserves so much better. The youth can do so much. What will it take for us to work together as a country? This smiling in your face and not doing the right thing and being focused on and getting together. You know where we collaborate? You know where we work outside of silos? Where we plan the destruction of others. That's where we don't have silos. But when we plan for the future, now all of a sudden I don't know how to work with Tambo. You know, this is not going to work. And if we keep this up, 1.2 million people will be snuffed out. We will be irrelevant to the world. The point of this whole government in your hand, by the way, I do need to get my IP on that because I named it. So no, seriously, I'm glad. You think I'm joking. This whole point of digitization, it's like oxygen for us. If someone came and told you in 2016 that in 3 years' time there'll be a disease where everybody will be sitting at home, it's the Noah story all over again, isn't it? Build the ship and people think you're crazy. Talk about putting this together, people think you're mad. If someone had told you there'll be a disease, you'd say this person should be instituted. You can institute me, because I'm telling you today, if we don't act fast, this country runs the real risk of being irrelevant and being digital slaves. And my friends, those machines will not have any empathy for us. The chance for us to act is now. The chance for us to collaborate and involve the youth is today. The chance for us to stop playing this game of holding each other back and talking fancy English is now. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Savannah. Indeed, the most important thing to do is act. Any questions or reactions?
Thank you very.
And the questions are not only directed to the panelists, but the presenters as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Luandle Simelane. I'm from the Eswatini National Commission for UNESCO. You know, you spoke, or when you spoke about young people, I experienced that a lot. But what I want to talk about is our implementation. We have really good policies in the country. It goes back to the text order of 1975, whereby we spoke of incentives for R&D, but none of it was implemented. So another thing that we need to look at is our implementation, and importantly, indicators. How can we measure ourselves? So much is happening on the ground, And yet when we look at our SDGs, we talk of us being behind. And what I really would love for us to place emphasis on is TVET. I think we're not talking about TVET much, particularly when it comes to digital transformation. I don't know if it's how we look at TVET as just fixing cars and et cetera, but TVET is the future and has a huge space, particularly in digital transformation. It's about skills. I think the digital future is about skills. And another thing I would love for us to be intentional towards is persons with disabilities. We speak of inclusion. Do we have the numbers? I'm looking at, do we involve them? We don't have people who are signing in our gatherings. We need to be intentional about ensuring that persons with disabilities are on the table and are part of the conversation and development. And then lastly, I would also love to see as the agenda of youth, the digital transformation requires a systems thinking approach from the planning to the budgeting to the implementation. I would love to see government take the systems thinking approach from cabinet level down to our ministries to ensure that we are intentional and understand. And importantly, teachers. We speak of the future. Teachers are at the core. Are we intentionally developing digital skills for teachers? Is something that needs to be looked at. Sustainability begins with teachers. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The man in the blue suit. Yeah.
We are gender balancing.
Yes.
Thank you. All protocol observed. I'm Hlachago Samgeliso, a university student at the University of Eswatini, doing economics and political science. I was actually triggered by one of the panelists there. He commented that as students, we are not ready. We're gonna do our degrees, but then there's apparently a very rapid change in terms of skills demand. But then I have a question here. Also, I just read the ISHEC skills anticipation report is one of its findings. It says that now it takes an average of 3 years for a graduate to get permanent employment. And I'm sitting down here, I'm starting now to panic, and I'm worried if I would actually be employed. I've been doing the same, I've been doing the degree for 4 years. I'll be completing student, but also, like he said, that also, our institution, it takes a lot of bureaucracies to actually change, redefine, and recreate and redesign the curriculum to actually align with the demands needed by the industry. So, but then I have a question here. What can we do in terms of reskilling students to be employable, so that when I graduate, I can actually gain the confidence that I can be employable? I've seen so many projects where, by the way, like UNDP is doing an incredible job in terms of through the Eswatini Youth Empowerment Program, but unfortunately, it only focuses on graduates, not students. Then for myself, I was just complaining today, say like, you know what, we also don't get internships and all that, it's all limited and all that, but the question is, what can we do for students to be employable? What kind of reskilling programs that we can actually develop so that I can be confident enough that after I actually graduate, I can be employed? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Evans, kindly. In a succinct manner.
No, thank you very much for the emotion in the question. I think that's the kind of attitude that we need. What can be done? That's a key question. Maybe my first response is to not wait for the university to determine the future. Break away. So you continue learning, but find skills where they are. I'm an example of that. I trained as a journalist, I have a BSc in journalism, but I'm about to finish my PhD in digital transformation because it wasn't working for me. So you don't have to wait for the university to take 4 years, sometimes 10, to change that. So find your space. You have a vision, you have a mission, isn't it? Opportunities do not go to people, you grab them. So take responsibility for that. universities will take time. It's like government. They said they take 2 years. I want to believe it's more. And we have seen that, isn't it? But when we wait, I think the minister said, the more you wait, the more nothing happens. So we need to disrupt the system such that when the university comes back, they find you ahead and they try to catch up with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Maseko?
Thank you so much. I think I need to share my experience because I was also in the same situation after completing the highest degree in the land. But what you should know is that never sit down. Volunteer. I always encourage youth. I don't know as it is about Luandle. Let me make an example of Luandle. Luandle joined our department as a volunteer. But look at where she is now. And remember, when you join as a volunteer, just put your all. I was telling one engineer who's now in one of our departments to say, when you volunteer, don't work like a volunteer. Just work as if you are 8 to 5 and put your all. And he did exactly that. Now everybody is looking for him. You just have to volunteer. Don't sit home and keep on telling maybe the parents that, hey, I'm stressed. You sleep the whole day. Go and volunteer. We are here to assist you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maseko. Dear panelists, and of course the audience here, your presence here today, it's a testament of your commitment to advancing digital transformation in Eswatini for inclusive development and economic growth. So let's give ourselves a hand. We will network with the panelists and the presenters, and that's when you can ask them questions. So unfortunately, like I said, time management is one of my key performance indicators, and I want to get that promotion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Today, I am the PS of the Minister of ICT. So my name is Prince Mshishimba Andreas Dlamini. Well, because of time, my real name is Mr. Bongandla Amandla, the Director for E-Government, standing for the Principal Secretary of the Minister of ICT. I'll be very short because already we have exhausted so much time. I'll just want to take this opportunity to observe protocol. We have in our midst, we have the World Bank rep, Mr. Okori. We have the Minister for Economic Development, Honorable Dr. Gina. We have the Minister for ICT, Honorable Senator Mazia. We, in absentia, we have Honorable Minister of Finance. We have dignitaries here, resident rep for UNDP, Mr. Hendrik Franklin. We have Principal Secretary for Minister of Economic Planning and Development. We have other captains of industry that I see here. Some of the dignitaries have left, of course. But we want to take this opportunity as the Minister of ICT to thank all of you, especially we start thanking the World Bank local office for facilitating such a wonderful conversation today. The Eswatini economic update. Out of these deliberations today, we come out with something positive, and we come up with something promising for Eswatini. So the title we had today was harnessing the potential of digital technologies for Eswatini's growth and job creation. It's so relevant to what the Minister of ICT is doing, government in your hand. So today's takeaway, we can all agree that digital technologies can assist us to improve service delivery, accountability, enhance productivity, assist us in creating new jobs and growing the economy. They normally ask my minister about AI, whether AI has come to take away our jobs or to disrupt the economy. And my minister always say, instead AI has come to create more jobs for us. So we don't have to look AI as a problem, but we must look to AI as a solution. So ladies and gentlemen, I've just been asked to do the way forward. From here, what is expected? We would also, maybe before I also talk about the way forward, I also want to take the opportunity to thank our panelists who presented, and they engaged so well and gave us their thoughts on where we are going as a nation. Maybe we can clap hands also for the panelists. Okay, so now, where to from here? Maybe let me just talk about, I'll not talk more about the government in your hand, because our minister unpacked it very well. And we had Paul, who presented earlier, who gave us the direction of where we are going. I want to pick from the World Bank project, which is what has brought us here today. So basically what is happening is that World Bank has come to be a good partner to us as a country. They want to support us to fast track the government in your hand. When our minister came in 2023, we established, we revived a very strong commitment to transforming the country and started the Government in Your Hand project. And I want to also, if the Minister of Finance was here, I was going to also appreciate him on the amount of investment that the government has already put to date. It's in the region of 45 million, which is a very good a very small amount, as my minister. Yeah, but of course, I would say it has helped us to arouse interest, because as we started the project and we are doing these things that we have already done, people or I would say partners are coming in to say, we can help you. So an example is now what World Bank is doing. We have been given, this one also requires that we appreciate, we have been granted an amount of $2 million US by the World Bank to start the processes with them. So already we are on the ground. We are employing some key strategists to help us. We call them the Project Implementation Unit. So we already have about 7 positions that we have advertised and already recruited. So we have a team of people that are going to assist us. We have also, out of the 2 million, we will do some quick studies. We will draw a roadmap of how we are going to implement this project. And so there's a lot of work that we are doing every day under this project. I just want to say World Bank came when we were traveling to Government in Your Hand using a train. And then they said they can offer us a plane so that we can get there quicker. So I can just say if we take on World Bank with us, in no time, we will be a first world country. So other processes that are required to be done now, like next week, as soon as next week, we have a meeting scheduled with the 3 agencies, that is ICT, economic planning, and finance, because there are processes that are required for this deal to be signed off. So we will have a meeting and we will discuss the project appraisal document. We will make sure that our project is formidable so that when we take it to the relevant structures, it is approved immediately and we start doing what we have to do. So that is the way forward. And secondly, just a little bit going into the project itself, it has different components. One of the components is laying down the national fiber throughout to all schools, to all health clinics, to all Tingunda centers. And that's a very massive project. And it will definitely spiral economic growth, because if we're saying we are reducing the digital divide, we are reaching the underserved areas, this project will definitely help us to do that. And then also, we are also, under this project, we are going to do some major digital public infrastructure projects, such as digital ID interoperability systems, digital signatures. So you can see that if you, as a country, you have those in place, then the transformation becomes very easy. So we will take care of those major digital public infrastructure objects. And then also under this project, we'll also take care of some key trainings. I can mention that last year we had the UNDP who assisted us in training our developers from RSTP and the ecosystem, that is Innovators Association, and other independent developers. We trained them on a GovStack approach, a very good development approach for government services, or for that supports open source, reusable kind of development. And so we are going to build on that. And we can also invite UNDP, because I see the resident rep is in our midst, that we can take it further and train more of our engineers. And then we also want to acknowledge, because in our midst here, we have the various development partners that we are looking up to, and we want to make sure that we don't leave them behind as well. A few weeks ago, we were in talks with the American Embassy, and I see they are represented here. We have had talks with other development partners, EU, and the other UN family members. So basically, we are saying our hands are open. Everyone is free to come and assist us to achieve this goal. And then now, also on the digital skills, we want to say that we will train more of Eswatini. We will use our national libraries. We will use RSTP Just yesterday, our minister made a statement in Parliament that we are starting a program to train 300 Maswati on coding. So 300,000. I just left the K at the end. Okay, now lastly, we want to request all our partners to come and assist us. Private sector, you are recognized. I see a lot of private sector companies represented here. We are with you. If you want to come and help us, come and talk to us. We will put you in this program. And then also I want to ask the print and the electronic media. They are here, they are with us. Please partner with the Minister of ICT. Please help us to say the word. We want to tell every Liswati what we are doing, and we want them to contribute to this journey that we are doing. So please help us to do this thing. It may not be perfect, but we will work it together with you as we build it, government in your hand. So I have said everything I wished to say. The only thing now is to say thank you. May God be with us as we complete, and I hope the World Bank has prepared something for us before we leave this space. Thank you so much.